Now, contrary to the criticism that I have for Diablo on this channel, I truly do love this series, in fact, down to my core. When I played Diablo 1 on the PC with a 14.4 kilobit per second modem, then jumping up to 28.8 and then 56K, finally having somewhat of a lag-free experience while trying to PvP and try to actually trade between people on that little bridge in D1, then moving to Diablo 2 in my late teens in college and high school, and then playing Diablo 3 those 10 years afterwards. And really, the love I have for this series is exactly why I'm so critical about it. I feel like for some strange reason, the current team at Blizzard really don't like what was done in the past, and they feel like they can do it better. And honestly, I'm very skeptical about that, especially with what we've seen with Diablo 3 and Diablo 4. Now, I'm going to explain as to why I feel that way in just a moment, but a couple of things happened recently. You see, the Vessel of Hatred expansion was in fact announced, and we got a new trailer of it during the Xbox showcase, which honestly looked great. It was gruesome. It looked like D2. It was violent. It was gory. It felt perfect for what it was. I honestly would have preferred if Neyrelle just at that moment in time during that whole thing just shoved the stone into her forehead because she couldn't take the voices anymore from Mephisto. That would have been the chef's kiss. But see, later on we learned that we are going to a new area. We're going to a place called Nahantu. And sure, that seems kind of cool. But honestly, I would have felt that would have been such an easy W for the Blizzard team if they just took it back to Karat. Think about it. Neyrelle already has the Soul Stone with Mephisto in it. Going back to Karat would not only give everybody the nostalgia dose that they've always wanted with Diablo 4, have the actual area shown up in a brand new style, but then you have to go down to the Durance of Hatred where you fought Mephisto in the first place, and everything just becomes full circle with what's been going on. But that's just a side tangent of what I feel might be happening with this expansion, and where I think Blizzard right now is almost ashamed of their past. You see, Rod Ferguson had an interview with Windows Central after that trailer went out, and in fact they had a conversation about the new class of the Spiritborn, and really, people were expecting the Paladin. In fact, they're getting a brand new class that Diablo has never seen before, and that kind of worries me. The interviewer asked Rod Ferguson why the Paladin wouldn't be shown at the expansion or have that class available. Rod Ferguson responded with, "When we look at what we had before, what we launched before, we wanted to make sure that we were honoring the past, because we were essentially 10 years or so between Diablo 3 and Diablo 4. We wanted to make sure we had some classic classes. So we looked at Rogue, Barbarian, and the Sorceress, the Necromancer, and the Druid. When you look at making a new class, you're looking at both fitting in and making something new. What are the different playstyles you don't quite have yet? Like if there are things that you want to have that play different ways, you're going to look at, oh, we could probably lean on this part of the gameplay style and the way people play. But also knowing that because we did so much in honoring the past, we wanted to do something that was completely different." And so that's what you see with the new Spiritborn. It's a recognition that we're going to a new place with Nahantu, and we wanted to have a class that was part of the design. The class be a part of the place you're going to. You know, it's all one theme, so that was a big part of it. Now, if you don't know who Rod Ferguson is before Diablo, Rod was actually part of the Gears of War team at Microsoft. And honestly, he's basically credited for pretty much ruining that entire franchise with either characters, storylines, and etc. A lot of the things that Rod talks about are usually just jumbled up words and things along that nature. Now, am I coming at this from a perspective of being a slighted fan of the Gears of War series as well? Absolutely. You see, the thing is, to me, Rod has not proved himself as to why he should be leading this team in the first place. And when he talks about honoring the past, having classes that are staples in practically every ARPG isn't honoring anything at all. And I can be even more critical about this as well when you have a Diablo game that doesn't have Diablo as the boss. So it just seems really weird how he's talking about honoring the past and creating a new class when the area they're going to, which is a jungled area, could have easily placed an actual iconic class from the Diablo series right in that space and been ideal for what they had to do. But there's more. Rod continues, saying, "I don't think the Spiritborn will satisfy a sword and board playstyle. People more often than not, people are sort of reward facing, like they know to ask for things they've already seen. They don't necessarily ask for the new thing they haven't seen because they don't have a frame of reference." And so again, it was really more about like, yeah, we definitely heard the feedback. We know people are excited about Paladins or sword and board gameplay, but we also knew that, like, again, we did a lot of nostalgia in the first 5 classes. And so we felt like, at least for the first one, we have to be able to look beyond nostalgia and start breaking new ground on classes and trying new things. None of this makes any sense whatsoever. All he had to really say at this moment in time was, we just wanted to make a new class. We might get to the Paladin, we might not. Talking about like honoring the past and like all of these things isn't the case at all, like I made in my previous example. We didn't need to go to Nahantu, you could have gone to Karat. So there is no honoring of the past. These are all separate things. It doesn't really make any sense why we're sitting here talking about like, why isn't there a Paladin? When the fact of the matter is, the Diablo team does in fact not honor the past games. They look at it from the perspective of, they did this in the past, can we do something better instead? And unfortunately, they haven't been able to do better instead. It took them 9 months to actually get a loot system that is viable for players to actually engage with and enjoy. It took them 9 months to do basic fixes for the game. To me, it feels more like hubris that thinking that they can do better without having to look at Diablo's past. And so speaking of nostalgia, Rod says this. And so it doesn't mean we won't go nostalgia ever again, or we won't do our new classes again. When you look at the team as well, part of it is just satisfying kind of the creative urges on the team. And so if you're always rebuilding the past, then you're not necessarily getting the best work out of your team either. And so we wanted to have some creative freedom and create a great creative outlet for the team as well. But you know, and like I said, we talked about gameplay, and so it's about scratching a different type of itch. So it's like, okay, I get the melee scratch from Barbarian, but what can I get with the Spiritborn? Brent Gibson then chimes in saying, yeah, really, we wanted something born of the jungle, right? The idea that everything that we're releasing in the next patch is part of a larger scheme is super cool. I actually think, to your point, we did a phenomenal job with the original classes, but there was so much more room for the playstyle that we left open. We're going to have a bigger reveal coming up on July 18th. We're going to do a deep dive and get more details with that. So you guys should definitely make sure you stay tuned in. It's going to be pretty cool. And here's where things like, to me, it shows that Blizzard, as it stands right now, has no idea what they're doing with Diablo 4 or with the Diablo franchise at all. And I could go honestly even further. I don't think Blizzard in its current state even knows what they're doing with any of their titles, including like World of Warcraft and etc. Even Overwatch. Everything feels like it's this overtuned, manufactured, sent through some like multi-level schemed area where tons of people have their input and nobody just puts their foot down and says, we're doing this, this is the direction we're going, let's get creative with it. And the thing is, like, when you talk about going to a jungle, you could easily just reference exactly what we have right here on Earth. The Amazon rainforest. You have a huge area of land that is populated and dense, a massive jungle that is considered to be called the Amazon. But then when you think about it, like, wasn't there a class that is also like part of that specifically that would have worked ideally in the situation right now instead of having to be a Spiritborn to be a new class? I feel like in my mind, there's one class in particular that would fit perfectly in this scenario situation and even be able to be changed and altered and even put a new spin on that class specifically. Oh, that's right. It's the Amazon from Diablo 2. What a simple idea that would have been able to actually have happen. Even the Spiritborn has a double-edged spear. So it really goes to show, like, what are we even doing here? Why would we make a whole new class that somewhat resembles the actual Amazon from Diablo 2 in a jungle area that would be part of Kurat, that would easily connect Mephisto and the older games, which would do a direct tie to the lore, and then make a whole new area instead? Like, this feels exactly like just them saying, we don't want to do anything with the old games, we want to have no connection with them, but we had like some sort of like back end because we had the Necromancer, oh, we had the Sorceress, yet like that's not honoring the past. That's basically just saying, here are the classes that every other ARPG has. We honored the past. Brent Gibson continues his statement by saying, I think if we were to come out with another thing that had already been done, it's like a whole another story that we're telling. And when we delivered on the original 5 classes, we need to start experimenting and broadening the power of Diablo 4 specifically. And then there's a total package thing that we were talking about earlier. It's like, okay, that fits with this new region that we're going in, and so that had a heavy influence in our choice too. And Ferguson chimes in saying being thematically relevant was important. Very important. And this is exactly where I feel like Rod Ferguson, the Blizzard team, and everybody else is honestly ashamed of their actual past. Sitting here, avoiding Kurat altogether, making an entirely new jungle zone. Again, like I said before, having Mephisto in a Soul Stone and not going back to Kurat is insane to me. To make a whole new area for this instead really just feels like, why are we even doing this? You're making an entirely new area that's a jungle zone when you already had one in the first place. And then instead of just bringing back the Amazon class, you could have just gone through and said, okay, how can we make the Amazon different? How can we spice her up? What can we do for this class that would really just bring out a whole new layer of what they've done before? What have other ARPGs done with this kind of class? Have they even done anything like this before? This entire process of we need to do everything fresh, brand new, we can't do anything that was done in the past, is honestly exactly why they're facing all these troubles and trials and tribulations with Diablo 4. They're trying to remake the wheel. The wheel's already been made. Like I said before, the Spiritborn even has the two-edged javelin. And if the class even throws this thing, it's just gonna be like, why did you not just do the Amazon? Like none of this makes any sense. It feels like Rod and his team do not know what Diablo means, do not understand Diablo, do not even understand ARPGs, and it's taken them a very long time to try and get a grip on what is needed and how they can actually provide content for players like myself and many others who want Diablo back, who want Diablo to be what it was before. A great ARPG with a gripping story, a phenomenal soundtrack, beautiful artwork that is also horrifying, but also provides players with the ability to do different things and to experiment and to explore, but completely avoiding all of the past of what they've done with the series in order to try and do something new. It's almost like when you see all the new writers and movies and TV shows take established canon lore from other books and then try to make it new or rewrite it or make it better from their perspective or put their stamp on it. And then it becomes a giant disaster and a trash fire. I know I've been very critical about this game and about this series on this channel, and I understand that people are going to be very angry at my take. Hey, sorry. It is what it is. The thing is though, Diablo 4 is nowhere near what it could be and what it should be as an ARPG, either story-wise, gameplay-wise, mechanics-wise, everything else. The use of dark patterns in that game when it first launched, where they had to go back and fix it, is abhorrent. The fact that we still don't have an overworld map, we have to go into the map because the first thing they want you to do is look at the shop icon that always has notifications so you can go and spend something. It's really just, it has no clue what it wants to be. And it's using the Diablo name to carry your nostalgia in order to bait you to saying, oh look, Diablo's back, baby. But then you don't have Diablo. Now here's the thing though, I hope this expansion is good. I hope this fixes a lot of the problems in the game. I hope we get more deeper mechanics, better storyline, better gameplay. I hope everything that we want Diablo 4 to be actually does come true. But the thing is though, until that team and Rod and everybody else looks back at the past to realize what made the first two Diablo games so great, they're going to keep making the same mistakes they're making right now. But you know what? That's just my take on Diablo 4 and what's happening right now. If you guys disagree or agree with me, let me know in the comment sections down below. I'd definitely like to have a conversation about this because I do want Diablo 4 to be the best ARPG it possibly can be. But with all that being said, if you like this kind of content, you want to see more hot takes from me about the ARPG genre, as well as guides and other updates as well, subscribe to the channel. We're almost at 700 subscribers, and I just want to say thank you guys very much for that. Pretty soon we will be live streaming here as well, playing other ARPGs like Last Epoch and etc. So stay tuned because it's going to be a lot more content coming this direction on this channel, and I really do enjoy making this kind of content. But with all that being said, you guys, thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a great one, and I'll see you next time.